Part 23. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 221. In the middle of an island. Han Li took Yahe with him, as well as Hong 11 and Zhang Hulan. The four of them looked speechlessly at Feng Bao, who was busy filling the pit. And lying in that pit was a languishing Yuan baby, looking at Feng Bao in horror. I watched her bury the soil with a small shovel, saying, "This is just an ordinary dirt pit and dirt, but it can actually trap the Yuan baby. If you say this, the entire cultivation world will not believe it." However, in Feng Bao's hand, the magical little shovel. It has an incredible effect. As long as it is a hole dug by the shovel, it has its own powerful prohibition. It's just the ordinary soil that has been touched, and it can seal the Yuanying strong at will. And when Feng Bao waved the small shovel, there was also a Pokin beside her, young Kira's. 19-7 Young Kira's had a strange smile on his face, and his little short legs staggered, pushing the dirt into the pit together. Because it's not a battle, even if the bond is not up to standard. Pokemon can also play with the owner. After all, this is just a pit, and it is not a battle. This is an inheritance in place. Yahe looked at the skillful movements of young Kira's and couldn't help muttering. Looking at that posture, if you want to say that you haven't been specially trained by Feng Bao, you won't believe that Yahe was beaten to death. Han Li and the others nodded in agreement. Zhang Hulan had a black line, looked at the pit that was about to be filled, and shouted loudly. "Sister Bao, hurry up, stop playing." It was when they were interested in it that they were disturbed. Feng Bao and young Kira's turned their heads to look, one with a dangerous red light in his eyes, and the other with a cute face, sticking out his tongue and grimacing. "Senior, let me go, I've said everything I should have said. I don't really know those guys. I just happened to be in retreat in the cave mansion when that group of people suddenly appeared in my cave mansion formation. The content of their conversation, I only heard about Han Li seniors, and then I found this cave mansion. I don't know anything else. The languishing Yuan baby can't move for half a minute." Hurriedly spoke. Han Li and the others also came over at this time. This person knew some incredible information. How could Han Li let him go? Directly captured Yuan Ying with spiritual light, and as soon as the soul-searching secret technique moved, it was to see his memory clearly. The reason also collapsed after half an hour, and the soul was scattered. Ding! Congratulations to Han Li, Feng Bao, Yahe, Hong Shu, and Zhang Hulan for obtaining the clues of the reincarnation secret realm. Information: Reincarnation Space, Reincarnation. Mission: kill the reincarnation of the world in which the raider Han Li is located. Reward: open the secret realm of reincarnation, get 10,000 points, and get the heavenly immortal 6th turn golden pill *1. Several people were overjoyed when they heard the sudden task prompt. Not to mention the secret realm of reincarnation, the 6th turn golden pill is a top elixir that enhances its own heritage. Even the entire origin is not sold. Only when you go on a quest occasionally, if you are lucky, you will get this reward. As for the reincarnation secret realm, needless to say, it must be a new type of secret realm mode. But Han Li, such a cautious person. But for those reincarnators, they made a determination to kill. After all, these people seem to know their past very well. That is, the original fate. This period of self. If it is according to the original fate, it should have been hunted down by the 6th Liandian when the ugly appeared. If you read a violent novel, go to Filu Novel Network. In the end, he fled for his life and left, but he also got the advanced elixir he needed, and he also got the rune treasure. Of course, these things are garbage in my eyes now. However, in the original fate, it was like a treasure. And he began a retreat that lasted for several years, just to break through the knot. If it is now, if there is anyone in the origin who says that it will be dozens or hundreds of years, I'm afraid I'll be sprayed to death by others. Even if it's a pig. When it comes to the origin, in the case of points, standing on the ground and forming a pill is just a matter of sprinkling water. And today, in this temporary cave mansion, I am sorting out some goods, preparing to get the origin space. But there was actually a monk in the early stage of the UN infant who found this place. Moreover, he was goal-oriented and found it directly. The sudden entry into the secret realm mission allowed him to find a few better friends. That is, Yahei and a few people. That's why we have the current situation 0. Han Li, I don't think this matter is in a hurry. Hong Xian still looks very thin. However, the surging power contained in his body will definitely make people's hearts frighten. And his eyes were full of energy, and the ghosts, immortals, and yang gods must have improved a lot. Hong 11, what do you say? Zhang Hulan asked directly, ignoring the young Kiras under his feet. He kept lifting his little feet and kicking his calves. Hong Sheng grinned, and Chen Sheng said, according to the memories of this infant monk, those reincarnators who have just descended into this realm should not be strong. After they arrived, they inadvertently revealed a hint of Han Li's original fate in this realm. Even judging from some information, you are still in retreat. And their target is not Han Li, but the 3 immortal halls of this star sea. This kind of force, but there are Yuanying monks in charge, and there is also a large array to protect the mountain. And they still need to go through some planning before they dare to implement it. This proves that they are not strong. It may be possible, as Hong said. But no matter whether those reincarnated beings are strong or not, they must be eradicated. Otherwise, Han Li was worried that they would inadvertently leak more information about themselves. It's like a Yuanying monk who has just been refined by his own soul. I actually knew that I had successfully entered the spiritual world by 3.5. So when the infant monk learned that he was in retreat, he actually came to him. I want to see if I rely on any anti-heaven treasures. With the root of the miscellaneous spirit, it can actually reach the late stage of the UN infant. But this also shows that these people may not know much about their original destiny. At most, until you succeed in entering the spiritual realm. Even so, Han Li was still a little uncomfortable. Even if there is no threat to his life, he is just unhappy in his heart. That's fine, hurry up and finish this task, and you can take a look at this reincarnation secret realm. Zhang Hulan said with interest. Yahei also nodded, and said jokingly. A few of us, open a new secret world, and we can also see the famed ones in the entire origin. Haha. Strategy for the All Heavens dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 222. Let's go, then. Hurry up and finish it, and see what the hell is this so-called reincarnation secret realm. But it must be related to the source of the boutique information, and the reincarnation space. Zhang Hulan urged. Why did they capture the reincarnation in that new world of pirates, but they didn't open the secret realm of reincarnation? Yahei asked with some doubts. Who knows, maybe the time is not ripe. Zhang Hulan waved his hand and took out a set of battle armor from the space ring. The moment the battle armor appeared, it automatically fit on Zhang Hulan's body. Cool. This steel armor is affordable and practical. I don't use much energy to travel on weekdays. But that's just the basics of the warframe. I heard that a nano battle armor is going to be put on the shelves soon, and I don't know if it's expensive. Listening to Zhang Hulan's murmuring, Yahei, Feng Bao, and Hong Huan, the 3 of them also took out their battle armor and put it on their bodies. Even the young Kiras wore a custom suit of armor. 05, on the other hand, Han Li shook his head. To be honest, he really didn't feel the battle armor, which made Zhang Hulan and the others scurry for a while. I also bought a set, used it as a plaything, and put it in the space ring. He prefers magic weapons, stepping on his own star shuttle, which is much faster than the battle armor. The 5 of them quickly set off to find the reincarnation. By the way, I also watched the live broadcast. Today is the day when the Shang King fights the gods. The so-called heaven will also appear. Originally, I wanted to join in the fun, or eat delicious food and watch the live broadcast. For now, let's give priority to the reincarnation. And in the live broadcast room, the Shang King sat up from the palace and soothed his muscles. Daji walked up with a set of crimson armor. Wang, Xiu is back. King Shang nodded, he naturally knew that his younger brother was back. After all, he had seen it in the picture of fate. Slowly give the king of Shang and put on the armor that has coexisted with the great Shang for hundreds of years and has been fused by the immortal birds. Daji's face was still a little hesitant. Wu Gang. Before Daji could finish speaking, the Shang King waved his hand. Humph. You see his heart at this time, like a high-ranking god, without experiencing these storms, how can he change his arrogant and rampant temperament with no one in his eyes? Even if I take him to the source now, with his mind, what will I do? Let him go through it slowly, he did a good job in his original destiny. We don't have to worry about it. The king of Shang put on the armor of the immortal bird, and pinned 2 crimson swords to his waist, and his whole body shook with inexplicable momentum. A divine bird turned into flames flew out of its armor and flew around the Shang King and Daji. But the king of Shang continued. And, didn't I say that? They rebelled against the gods, against the heavens, and the people who died. I will resurrect them one by one and bring them into the source. For example, the people in the underworld who go against the sky and others, I will also treat them equally. After speaking, the Shang King raised his hand and let the immortal bird stand on his arm. Immortal bird, is your method reliable? The immortal bird cried softly, but it was a sound of thought. Yes, there are great immortals who cast spells for me, so that I can continue to stay in this realm with all my strength. And with this power, a new immortal bird will continue to be born at that time. And my spirit will leave with you. You can build a body for me then. It won't change what happened in the original fate. The Shang King nodded. The Son of Heaven, his original fate, the king of Shang did not want to change. But if you are not confident in yourself, you are also confident in yourself. If you read a violent novel, go to Fila Novel Network. King Shang really wanted to ask. Why didn't his son inherit the immortal bird and gain the divine power of the primordial realm? Instead, he obtained the same colorless realm divine power of Black Dragon Heaven, and even received the gift of Black Dragon Heaven. And the son of the Black Dragon Heaven, just like himself, has obtained the immortal bird and obtained the divine power of the primordial realm. This. Let others know, what will they think? It will really be a little powerless to argue. Daji, go, just follow the original fate. Outside, there was already a sound of killing. The army of Zhou soldiers has already entered the court. After all, for the anti-god actions of the Shang King, even his great Shang dynasty was up and down. Whether it is the people, or the officials and nobles, etc. It's almost all invective. The slander of the people in the city is still ringing all over the city. But the Shang King didn't care about this. After doing this, my purpose is accomplished. It just so happens that the underwater paradise of the Four Seas Dragon clan has opened. Daji, we can both go and have some fun for a while. Daji was still a little unbearable. After all, in the fate of resisting God and heaven, many people died. But she remembered the meaning of the words of the Kyushu chief that day. Any revolution is won through blood and fire, not by charity. What the Shang Kings wanted, they fought for it themselves. Rather than relying on the source, relying on others. But she naturally couldn't bear to finish off her son with her own hands. But thinking about Wu Geng's future awakening of thinking and soul awakening, he knows the meaning of resisting God and anti-heaven. And she was no longer shaken. However, from now on, it will take a long time before I can meet Wu Geng again. Daji left 563 first, and the king of Shang said as he walked. I heard you've joined the Skull Alliance. The undead flap its wings and return to its perched armor. Yes. There's a lot of genius there. It's nice to talk to, I like it so much. Pretty Boy, Godzilla, Ghidorah, Ultraman, Little Goku, all of them have unique skills. That's right. Knowing that I was going to do a fight, they gave me some skill scrolls. The immortal bird moved his mind, threw out a bunch of scrolls, and introduced them one by one. This Ghidorah gravitational rays, lightning storms. And this, Godzilla's spiral hotline, atomic breath. There's also the Espeo ray of the big bone transformed into Ultraman, and the Delahume glow. And little Wukong's turtle school Kigong. The king of Shang was stunned when he heard this, and a black line fell. Put it away. Don't get those things out. Do you want to destroy the world? Depend on the monsters of the Skull Alliance, as well as Ultraman or something, are they all so united? The immortal bird smiled wryly and put away the skill scroll. Zishao, you don't understand this. This is called sympathy, I can't help it, I hate each other. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 223. Asahi City. It's chaos at the moment. When the Zhou soldiers entered the city, they naturally wanted to wash the city in blood. But they have the support of the gods and have the will of heaven. Go with the sky. Destroy the thief who rebelled against the gods, the king of Shang. And the gods have made Xianxia say it. When the great Shang is defeated, the Zhou clan will be able to enter the world and become the co-lord of the world. There is even an oracle of heaven, which will grant the title of son of heaven to the king of Zhou. But King Zhou is also very self-aware. I'm just a puppet. A puppet in place of the Shang king. Boom boom boom. King Ji of Zhou, standing on top of the chariot. At the gate of Kaoj Castle. The soldiers of the Zhou clan fell to the ground one after another. A burly figure rushed out of the city, with a majestic and vigorous kingly momentum. It was the prince of the merchant who received it. Behind him, followed by a small number of Shang soldiers. These people, it can be said, are already the most loyal warriors of the Shang king in the entire Shang clan. Even when they were enemies of God, they did not retreat. Ziyu, the younger brother of the king of Shang. The world's famous top swordsman, a kendo powerhouse. With the power of mortals, he who has slain God. He stood high above the city wall, the figure of his brother. His eyes looked beyond the city and into the distance. There, is where the heart moon fox Sudaji is. I can't help but think of Sudaji, the words of living and dying with my brother, I can't help but feel a little envious. And the live broadcast picture, surrounding, is fixed in the distance where Sudaji is located. Is worthy of being a god, worthy of being a heart moon fox, and worthy of Sudaji. The peerless face that charmed all beings, even the many women who watched the live broadcast couldn't help but sigh. Xiaodo, Sister Daji is so photogenic, so beautiful, I love you to death. Sudaji watched Xiaodo's words drift by, and couldn't help but smile, which was even more amorous. Xiaodo, you are also cute and playful. Xiaodo, who is being chased by a hell monster that is immune to magic damage and various enhancements, is fleeing in confusion. Hearing Sudaji's words, my heart was overjoyed. After all, being praised by such a peerless goddess, even if she is also a woman, she is very happy. But the next moment, As soon as he didn't pay attention, he was hit on the back by a hellish claw and rolled on the ground. Immediately disgraced. Boss Bai, help. Boss Bai and Shattered Star and the others, who were not far away, shook their heads. During this special training, this girl was still watching the live broadcast. I deserved to be taught a lesson. Cao, Goddess Su, under Cao, the word meant, the king of Shang is really brave and unparalleled, and he must get to know him. A paragraph that was suddenly highlighted made everyone look at it. Cao. Why is it so familiar? Cao of the Three Kingdoms, Caoapu. I'll go. The Chinese system has been up and down for 5,000 years, but the origin is familiar to many people. This Cao, in history, has left a heavy brush. Especially at a certain point. Do you want to know the king of Shang, or do you want to know Sudaji? Sudaji has naturally read this book carefully with the king of Shang these days. After all, I belong to the parallel world of China. He naturally also knows the Three Kingdoms and Cao. Even complained to the king of Shang about Cao's preferences. At this moment, I saw Cao's high-profile words. I couldn't help but turn dark. Meantime, the majestic Shang King suddenly felt an inexplicable chill down his spine. When he saw Cao's speech, he gasped. Take advantage of the situation to strangle the movement of the war horse. At the same time, he sent a private message to Sudaji. Daji, you turn off the live broadcast quickly, I'll just start the live broadcast. If you read a violent novel, go to Filu Novel Network. He was relieved to see that Daji had already turned off the live broadcast as soon as he finished speaking. The feeling of chill down the spine has subsided slightly. But at the same time, the whole origin boiled again. Is this a newcomer again? Or is it a force? Emperor Qin, haha, it turned out to be His Excellency Cao Ment, and I am Emperor Qin Yingzheng. Emperor Ming, I am Emperor Ming Zhu Yuanzhang, speaking of Cao Ment, have you seen China for 5,000 years? Great Elder of Kyushu, I am the Great Elder of Kyushu, Your Excellency Cao has just arrived, may I ask Your Excellency Lu Suand and Your Excellency Sun Zongmu if they are here together? The words of the Great Elder of Kyushu were pure speculation. After he saw Cao's words, the Intelligence Analysis Department had already analyzed them. Perhaps this time, Cao is not here alone. It's the three of the Three Kingdoms who came together, not necessarily. Kyushu intelligence analysis is good. In the original copy square, a clearing near the perimeter, Cao, Liu Bei and Sun Quan were sitting together, watching the live broadcast of King Shang. After all, for the Shang dynasty, they naturally knew about it. But what is this anti-god and anti-sky, but it shocked the three of them. However, they have all encountered such wonderful things as entering the origin space. Even if there is a god in the Shang dynasty, it is not a big deal. Why are you talking? Liu Bei said with some reproach that he wanted to know more about this place before making plans. I have given it, and when I saw Sudaji's peerless face, she was still the wife of the king of Shang. This Caoapu ran to say hello. It's really a lack of vertical and conspiracy. Well, you see, now the whole thing is exposed. Seeming how familiar these people seem to be with us. Sun Quan said. This Emperor Qin's reign, if it is true, it is the first emperor over there. But this Emperor Ming, Kyushu, is unknown. There is also the era of the Shang King, which is different from the historical records. Cao was a little embarrassed when he heard Liu Bei's words, whoever called himself would be fine. But hearing Sun Quan's words, Cao's eyes rolled. Suand, you don't know, I just want to get some information, so I made this decision. It's my fault in this matter, but now, don't we know a lot of information, Zhao. You need to know that I have good intentions. Bah! You thief! The goddess has already turned off the live broadcast, and I seriously doubt that she knows your nature. Uncle Lu Huang said secretly in his heart. But at this moment, the three of them are exposed, and they are about to start the next step. Great Elder of Kyushu, 3, why don't you go and see the 5,000 years of Waxia first? Grand Elder of Kyushu, in this way, it will also help you to better understand the entire Huaxia system. The Great Elder of Kyushu, when the matter of the King of Shang is finished, we will meet again together to wash the dust for the three newcomers to China. The three of them saw the message of the Great Elder, and at the same time, the light curtain flashed. A book appears before my eyes. It's over there for 5,000 years. It seems that this book must be unusual, I'll read it first. After Liu Bei finished speaking, he immediately opened the book and looked at the taxi. Cao and Sun Quan naturally did not hesitate. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm Chasing Water in the Sky. Chapter 224. Cao, Sun Quan, and Liu Bei. At this moment, it is caught in the combing of Chinese history. And in the live broadcast room. The King of Shang killed all sides, and he didn't need the soldiers to take action. One person beat the Zhou clan to pieces. King Zhou saw King Shang's unparalleled combat power, and there was a trace of urgency in his heart. Divine Envoy, why don't the gods come here and kill the King of Shang? The god made Suancha look at the King of Shang proudly, he knew that the King of Shang would die today. Hearing King Zhou's words, he just said lightly. The gods have their own arrangements, this is not something that your King Zhou should know. Hearing the words of the divine envoy, King Zhou secretly scolded angrily, looked at the King of Shang, and asked angrily. King Shang, you dare to be so rampant. Today, my Zhou clan conforms to the will of heaven and brings the majesty of the gods, and I will definitely kill you, the King of the heavens and the Whaleless. Before the city gate, it was empty. There are no more Zhou soldiers, who dare to approach the King of Shang. Hearing Zhou Wangji's words, King Shang just smiled coldly. I don't even want to speak. Just a puppet of the Protoss. Seeing that the King of Shang looked down on him so much, coupled with the disdain of the divine envoy beside him. The King of Zhou was furious, and he was about to mobilize the whole army to press in, destroy the court, and kill the King of Shang. King Wu, don't do it, leave this son to me. Suddenly, a loud voice, 507, was sent around. It is like the sound of gongs and drums and thunder in the sky, which is very majestic and violent. In an instant, a heavenly fire fell from the sky, and a frenzied red light shone throughout Kaoch city. I saw a burly figure, covered in divine light, and red skin. The majestic divine power made the soldiers of the Zhou clan frightened, and even the war horses roared. Ah! It's actually Lord Tenkui, the great god of the Daobu. King Shang, he is dead. The god made Zhensha exclaim aloud. He didn't understand why killing a mere mortal would allow such a powerful god to do it himself. Rumble. With a loud bang, the god named Tiankui had already fallen to the ground, trampling the ground to the ground. The huge shockwave made the Zhou soldiers not far away all turn on their backs for a while. Only the Shang King was not affected in the slightest. It's finally getting started. Tenkui. Although I fantasize about the coexistence of man and God, I can't resist a great God of heaven. It's the God who makes my father feel hopeless. King Shang's heart flashed with all kinds of information about Tiankui. Among the 6 divisions of the gods, the strongest, Afia, God. But don't be afraid. King Shang turned over and dismounted, and the momentum on his body converged, so that Tiankui couldn't see anything. Mortals, how dare you face me alone? Surrender quickly, otherwise, can you bear to see your loyal soldier die here? The King of Shang knew what it meant, didn't he mean that there would be gods coming later? But my intentions, you gods, will not understand. Don't talk nonsense, the Protoss is like this. Tiankui was silent. But all of a sudden, the mountains shook. The whole world was shaking. It was as if the world was going to be destroyed in the next moment. Huge inexplicable coercion fell from the sky. The whole world was dark. There was only a small amount of light, shining through the clouds. But it is this little bit of light that everyone can see. It was the figure of a huge ancient beast. Surrounded by clouds and mist, occasionally revealing a hint of figure. Pitch black scales, shimmering with an inexplicable sheen. Even King Joe couldn't help but be moved and frightened. If you read a violent novel, go to Fila Novel Network. What the hell is such a behemoth? And at the top of the city, the king of Shang and his disciple Yu were also frightened. This is an ancient divine beast that only the Lord of the Protoss, the heavens, can control. Could it be that he came himself? And Sudaji, who was far away at the height of the star-picking tower, looked at his son Wu Gang, who ran in a panic. He began to tell him some things, bit by bit. Of course, it's not about the origins. And when the ancient beast revealed its true face, among the Zhou soldiers, there were even soldiers who were frightened. The true dragon of the legend. And with the current of the real dragon, above the dragon's head, there were several majestic momentums. The god made Suansha tremble and say, in horror. These are the 6 great gods, all of them are here. At this time, the Shang king has entered a critical time. However, the people of the origin will not be in a hurry at all. After all, that side of the world is really weak. It's 3 newcomers who don't know why. While watching the upper and lower 5,000 years, I also followed the live broadcast. I was amazed to see the mountain-like dragon. When Cao saw this, he was convinced that the king of Shang was indeed fighting with the gods. Suand, Zhongmu, what I just said to the king of Shang was not frivolous. Such a brave and unparalleled king as the king of Shang, Cao meant, have always admired him. You have to trust me. At this time, you know that you are scared? What did you do in the first place? Roll your eyes and ignore him. However, they all put down the books in their hands and looked at the battle situation in the live broadcast. I saw that on the top of the giant dragon's head, the great god of the great sun seemed to be imprinted on his forehead, and shouted jokingly. These stupid monkeys, who dare to resist their masters, and don't listen to their masters, are simply looking for death, and it is not a pity to die. When it was Tiankui on the ground, he said in a deep voice. Tai Chi, don't make too much killing. Taiji, the great god of the fire department, heard Tiankui's reminder, but he didn't care. Tiankui, I came here today, but God allows. These monkeys are so rebellious, if we still forgive them easily, won't it make the other monkeys want to learn from them? Behind Tai Chi, a man dressed in a robe and covered with a black scarf covering his mouth and nose let out a strange laugh. Tiankui, don't make a move, these disobedient monkeys, just leave them to me. By the way, Tai Chi, do you still lack leather clothes? The fire god Taiji smiled wildly and nodded. Aniki, you reminded me of this. I'm just about to make a new leather coat. You know, I don't like leather coats made of animal skins, they're too coarse. Only with mortal skins carefully polished, and then carefully sewn. I can make my favorite leather coat. Later, please prepare me a few more mortal skins. Hearing the words of this great god, the soldiers of the entire battlefield had numb scalps. And the raiders in the live broadcast room didn't almost ask Shang Wang to open a group. I want to peel the cruel Protoss skin and cramp, and then refine the soul. Then he will be sent to the 18th layer of hell, and he will not be able to be reborn forever. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 225. The Plague God Ghost Wood. The words with the fire god Taiji made the raiders indignant. If it weren't for the Shang King's decision, we would immediately lead my Ming army and personally go to kill that bullshit god clan. Emperor Ming said angrily, and even the royal driver could say it. Apparently angry, too. Queen Ma did not refute Zhu Yuanzhang's words this time, but silently smoothed Zhu Yuanzhang's back. There is a chance, after all, according to what the king of Shang said. The original fate, from now to the end, the king of Shang and his son, have obtained the authority of heaven, and it has not been long in the past. When the time comes, liquidating those Protoss will just be between backhands. Yang Zhang said in a deep voice, but in his bright eyes, there was an inexplicable killing intent. The new trio, frightened by the words of the Protoss. Between the words, it seems that people are not treated as people at all. Liu Bei, in the lower Shuhan Liu Bei, the word Suand, I have seen you, what is this god race? Sun Quan in Xiaodong Guo, the word Zongmu, I have met you, and the three of us already know the Chinese system. Sun Quan, I also know that the Shang King is not in the same world as me, but the parallel world Shang dynasty that I just know now. Cao, yes, the king of Shang is invincible, worthy of the name of the emperor, I Mengda admires tightly, but this god clan. It turns out that the trio doesn't know what the Protoss is. Emperor Ming, you guys are really here together. The great elder guessed it accurately. Emperor Qin, let me tell you where this Shang King is. In the live broadcast room, it is also lively at the moment. Someone gave the trio some information about the king of Shang. But more of them were shouting wildly, asking the king of Shang to give some color and show the so-called gods. Let them know that such a weak and arrogant Protoss is not as good as waste. The king of Shang already knew everything, and looked at these gods calmly. It's like looking at a clown. Even, his eyes were looking at the dark god. This person is the god who will inherit the power of the immortal bird, and the divine power of the primordial realm, and he is also the son of the sky above his head. Then he looked at it, and picked up the many origin raider news that he had taught the Protoss. My heart is warm. Then he looked at the soldiers who were following him. Not much is left. Not all soldiers are wholeheartedly following themselves against God. After all, the Protoss is invincible and cannot be resisted, and what is wrong with being enslaved, this kind of deep-rooted thinking? It has been imprinted in the heart and soul. In the face of God, the natural fear is bound to come. But now, I'm going to make it known to the world. God is not invincible. My most heartfelt soldiers, and my disciple you. You're all watching and you don't need to make a move. Wait for me to knock the Protoss to the dust. You rebel and dare to utter such rampant words, it is really rebellious. Damn it! The great god of the plague department, Ghost Mu, heard the words of the Shang King, and was instantly furious. The divine power surged, and it fell rapidly from the dragon's head. In an instant, the body was filled with a miasma containing highly poisonous. The miasma wafted away and emitted a foul smell. Not far away, Zhou Wangjifa hurriedly urged the soldiers to retreat, and his chariot also retreated, so as not to be affected by the fish pond. The miasma was flying, and a strong wind was blowing inexplicably, wanting to sweep the miasma away from the Shang King and the soldiers behind him. The king of Shang smiled contemptuously. The moment the belly bulged, he spit out. Exhaled into the wind, and in an instant, a violent wind blew up, blowing the miasma away. Waste, this kind of means also want to hurt people, I'm afraid that even ants are not afraid. Seeing that the miasma was invalid, the Shang King was filled with an unknown and powerful aura. Even the 6 number 1 gods, Tian Kui, all looked at King Shang solemnly. Mortal monkeys provoke God, and there is a price. Perhaps consciously insulted by the ants, the Ghostwood's eyes were round, and his divine power surged. Jizo realm divine power. Poisonous locust. As soon as the ghostwood's voice fell, countless locusts appeared on the ground in an instant. These locusts are not ordinary at first glance, and each one is violently poisonous. If you read a violent novel, go to Fila Novel Network. It's just that even the other 6 gods can't deal with it. The locusts were overwhelming, and they attacked the king of Shang in an instant. But the Shang king still didn't even pull out his weapon. Just with a wave of his hands, he suddenly became powerful, bursting out from the primordial divine power mastered by the immortal bird. Turning into a little spark, the spark appeared in the void, looking extremely weak, and it would be extinguished as soon as it was blown. But a spark can start a prairie fire. The moment the spark touches the poisonous locust, it directly ignites one. Then, as if an infection was transmitted, the spark extended, covering the entire poison locust swarm at a breakneck speed. The smell of burning sizzled and a strong stench spread. If it weren't for the fact that the starfire was even poisonous, I am afraid that these smells would be highly toxic. How is that possible? Anemu looked incredulous, looking at the Shang King who had eliminated all the poisonous locusts without much effort. But don't wait for him to be surprised. As soon as the Shang King's feet moved, a vertical rush came, and he arrived in front of the ghostwood in an instant. Anemu was stunned, and he didn't hear Tian Kui's shout not far away. "Be careful!" But before the words fell, an arm like King Kong grabbed directly on the head of the ghostwood, like a pincer, and clung to its head. Then he slammed it into the ground. Bang! The head of the ghostwood was smashed directly into the ground, and the ground exploded with a bang, revealing a large hole. Ahh! A terrible scream emanated from the mouth of the ghost tree. He was directly stunned by this blow. But the Shang King won't stop. Lifting the ghostwood, he put it in front of him, and his other hand quickly slapped out with a palm, hitting the ghostwood in the chest. Click! Like the corpses of 5 horses, the limbs of the ghostwood were directly cracked. Blood spilled. Ah! Anemu was hit by this blow, and woke up directly from the state of confusion. But when he woke up, he had already lost his limbs. The pain was so intense that he could only scream. He's a Protoss. Pampered and pampered, the god of the gods who regard mortals as ants. Who has ever suffered such a loss? Even if it is the god conference among the gods, when it is time to snatch the position of the 6 great gods. He hadn't been hurt like this. Phew. Garbage. The king of Shang twisted the head of the ghostwood and threw it on the ground like garbage. Blood stained the ground red. The terrible screams reached the hearts of God and man. The people of Kaoj City, the merchant soldiers, and the Zhou soldiers. His heart was filled with the terrible roar of the god of the Protoss, and the embarrassed appearance of blood splattering. The king of Shang is incomparably brave, and with his human body, he abolished a great god with just one grab and one punch. Don't even kill him. Just throw it on the ground. Cold taunts. Mountain. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 226. He can easily kill Aneki. But why not kill? Tian Kui was puzzled. He couldn't guess what King Shang was thinking. Even if he is a celestial leader, what he thinks when he treats mortals is different from most of the gods. However, the arrogance of the Protoss overlooking everything also made him not understand the advanced thinking of the real king of the human race. What the king of Shang wanted was for the Protoss to leave blood in front of people and let out a wail. Let these people on the battlefield remember this scene, and then pass it on to the Terran Quartet. Let them know. God hurts, and God screams and wails. Good guts. Brush. A black light flashed, heading straight for the Shang King. It is the great god of the dark department, the son of the sky, and the ten seeing. But what the king of Shang wanted was to defeat the gods of the Protoss in one go. 2, 4, 7 and then face the sky. So I don't want to waste any more time at this point. When Shi Xing rushed to come, the Shang King was faster and stronger. With his backhand, he grabbed Shi Xing's neck. Let Shi Xing struggle, those 5 fingers were like golden hoops, not moving at all. The Shang King stared at the audience, even in the hearts of some Zhou soldiers. I don't know why, but I actually gave birth to infinite admiration. Waste, this is the power of the Protoss. Don't waste any time, let's go together. Seeing this scene, how could the great god of the Dao Tiankui still sit still? This will greatly damage the majesty of the heavens and damage the face of the Protoss. Although he has some sympathy for the human race, he is always loyal to the god race. Shang King, don't be rampant. Vajra Realm Divine Power. Shattered Mountain. The burly and majestic dark red body suddenly increased by a few points. When the divine power burst out, the fist was wrapped in a powerful force, and it hit the face of the Shang King. But the Shang King's hand holding Shi Xing did not let go. In the face of Tiankui's powerful power, he summoned the divine power of the primordial realm and blasted out directly with a punch. Bang! The primordial realm divine power collided with the Vajra realm divine power, rolling up a huge atmospheric wave, kicking up a puff of smoke and dust, covering them. Syllable. But the next moment, a figure was rushed out of the smoke and dust, and smashed into the ground in the distance. It's Tiankui. This scene can make the remaining 3 gods on the dragon's head feel a little bad. Daoba Tiankui, Dark Ten Seeing, Plague Ghost Wood. The 3 of them were killed by the mortal Merchant King in an instant, and they were beaten without the slightest resistance. But don't let them think about it. A black shadow shot straight in. It was the king of Shang who took Shi Xing's body as a thrower and threw it straight over. At the same time, the king of Shang stepped on his feet, and his whole body went straight to the dragon's head. It was filled with its monstrous primordial divine power. There seemed to be a figure of a divine bird behind him, contemptuous of the gods as if looking at ants. Stunned. Everybody's stunned. The king of Shang is simply invincible, and the 6 great gods of the heavenly god clan are not his enemies. God caused Gensha to stumble and fall to the ground. On the chariot next to him, Martial King Jifa was even more frightened. I don't know what to think in my heart, and I have some mixed feelings. And on the ground. One by one, the 6 great gods were lying on the ground, covered in wounds and weak in breath. The plague god Ghostwood is already on the verge of death. If it weren't for the strong vitality of his god race, ordinary people would have died long ago if they were cut like this. On the star-picking platform, he already knew that his mother was actually Wu Geng of the Protoss. Looking at the battle picture made by the mother's divine power spell. Seeing his extremely powerful father with his own eyes, he can easily defeat the powerful power of the Protoss, and he worships it even more in his heart. But the next moment, an earth-shattering roar rang out. It was the roar of the ancient beast Black Dragon. The powerful roar shook the entire song, and it was shaking. If you read a violent novel, go to Feel a Novel Network. The sinuous body swayed. It seems to be singing a hymn to the coming heavenly punishment. And this alone is like the roar of praise. The people of the song were shaken so much that their bodies shook. If it were outside the city, wouldn't it be able to roar people to death? Wu Geng was anxious and looked at his mother, who was calm. Mother, what's going on? Sudaji was chatting with Xiao Siming, Bayakui, Kagaya, Empress and others, talking about cosmetics and where to go to a spa. Hearing his son ask, he said lightly, "Oh my God, it's coming." At the same time, the eyes seemed to look through the void, into the mist-shrouded darkness. There she saw the sky. Crash. Infinite divine power reduced by zero. Most of the entire Kaoj city seemed to have fallen into absolute darkness. In the line of sight, it was gray and colorless. Only under the protection of divine power can you maintain yourself. The colorless realm divine power heaven has descended. Tian Kui turned over weakly and looked at the few great gods lying on the ground beside him. The ghost wood is completely out of life. And the Shang King, his eyes flashed red. The phantom of the immortal bird roared, shaking away the great oppression of the divine power of the colorless realm. On top of the armor of the immortal bird, a pair of red immortal bird wings instantly grew. He raised his head and faced the Lord of the gods, the supreme of the world, the black dragon heaven. It's finally here. Days. King Shang gasped, knowing that he could not fight against the sky by himself. The original fate, burning his own life, was worthy of the sky, and a drop of blood was shed. But this time, King Shang stared in front of him, and an inexplicable figure was hovering. Boy, do you want to borrow my power? Repair my sword, kill for 9 days, sprinkle my blood, and move forward. Thank you Tugu seniors. Haha, I want to thank you too. The king of Shang didn't know what the powerful and majestic Tugu predecessor meant. But there was no time to think. The whole body suddenly exploded with infinite power. He Longtian looked at the human king who suddenly changed inexplicably in front of him. In the mouth of the high priest, the person who can challenge the divine right has suddenly undergone an inexplicable change in 4.2. But with the power of the black dragon heaven, he was not worried at all. Because the ancient gods can be slaughtered by themselves. A human race supported by the power of the immortal bird, can there be any big waves? Monkey, even if you have the power of the immortal bird, even if you have an inexplicable chance. But monkeys, always monkeys. The Shang King heard the words of the black dragon heaven and shook his head. No more nonsense, let's fight. When the yin and yang are reversed, the sky will be dyed with my demon blood. The Shang King roared, and his strength surged. When the color of heaven and earth changed, even the influence of the divine power of the colorless realm of heaven seemed to be erased. The two majestic figures soared into the sky and flew into the sky. Strategy for the All Heavens dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 227. Demon King Wukong, do you look down on monkeys? Demon King Wukong, did the monkey steal your house, or did they rob you of your bananas? Lang Feng, no monkey is innocent when he encounters cyberbullying. Zixia, Wukong, don't make trouble, let people see jokes, and Captain Lang Feng, don't be angry. Beiji, brother monkey, where do you want to go? Little Wukong, brother big Wukong, I'm going to your place to practice. Emperor Ming, great sage, what are you thinking? Four-tailed Gaku, boss, you are a stone monkey, I am a chakra monkey, and I am a different breed from mortal monkeys. Zhang Hulan, when it comes to the rebellion of yin and yang, I will stain the sky with my demon blood, this Sao is too pretending, and it is on par with the great sage, the king of Shang can say this, I don't believe it. Xinyu Fox, Sudaji, I don't believe it either, although he is not bored and still talkies, but this kind of thing is unspeakable. Dugu defeated Sky, exotic linkage ahem, I'm sorry, I said this, what is your opinion? Heavenly Sage, exotic linkage, you are better than me. Everyone swiped the screen, I've seen the Tongtian sect master. Bofeng Schumann, in other words, there is a new world, watching our live broadcast, it seems that Shang Wangying 05 should have borrowed the power of this Dugu defeated friend. Dugu seeks defeat. Dugu defeating Tian looked at the lively magical live broadcast room. Especially the Tongtian sect master who was swiped, a hint also followed. The lonely and defeated heaven of the body of the remnant soul, but it was the divine thought that vibrate. Mixed you an infinite logo Jinxian. If you compare it with the evil heavenly Deo, The evil heavenly Deo is not even worthy of lifting his shoes. How strong is this? Dugu was shocked, but suddenly came back to his senses. With the power of the world in which this magical live broadcast is located, I am afraid that even the saint may not be the strongest. Dugu Yushin thought so, obviously because he knew a lot of information from the source. Includes some systems of practice, compared to ranks. And the reward given to me by this magical live broadcast is called the first life covering heaven method. The power of the evil heavenly Deo, in this cultivation system, the realm is only a quasi-emperor. Even its combat power is inferior to some quasi-emperors who have taken a few steps on this path. Haha. It's a pity that I got this method, but I can't teach it at will, so I can only concentrate on cultivating it myself. However, it won't be long before you don't have to wait for the plan of the eternal ages to beat that evil heavenly way to death and secretly amaze those old friends. The noise in the live broadcast room did not affect the Shang King in the battle at all. After all, it's borrowed power, not all. But the power of the ancient forbidden god, even if it is not all the power, it is not something that the black dragon heaven can resist. In the Song of the Dynasty, the influence of the divine power of the black dragon sky colorless realm has disappeared. Heaven and earth regained their color. Everyone looked up at the sky, but with their naked eyes, they could not see the battle situation. Even among the gods of the heavenly god realm, the powerful Saint King couldn't detect the slightest movement. The high priest of the Protoss, his eyes glowing with a ghostly light, seemed to be calculating something. And in the vault of heaven, the colorless realm divine power and the primordial realm divine power, which had been infused with great power, merged in the firmament and turned into an enchantment realm. Black Dragon Heaven was even more shocked, that powerful and incomparable unknown power. Definitely not any kind of divine power. Mankind, the world, and the laws are nothing but their own creation. But this man in front of him is the king of mankind. When he was asleep, he got such power, where did it come from? But the Shang King would not explain to He Longtian. He just wanted to fight. His mission has been accomplished, and the Terrans have seen their potential and seen the embarrassment of the Protoss. That's it. Next, it's up to the group. There is no need to break their fate. They've done a great job. Of course, it's much worse than myself. Ha ha ha. Thinking of this, King Shang laughed a few times. If you read a violent novel, go to Filu Novel Network. 2 Swords and 1 Dance. 8 Styles of Rebellion. The twin swords seem to have cut through space and time, and the weak world, under the twin swords of the Shang King, is like tissue paper. The black dragon sky was bleeding in an instant, and the black dragon behind him was shattered. The twin swords reached the center of the black dragon heavenly eyebrows. But at this time, He Longtian, who was no longer calm, only felt that he was going to be destroyed in the next moment. But he saw the king of Shang smile inexplicably. The figure dissipated instantly, turned into a little starlight dust, and disappeared without a trace. Where did he go? Can't bear the inexplicable power and die? He Longtian couldn't help but think so. Staggered back into the divine realm. The live stream is over. The king of Shang fulfilled his vision, and settled in the origin with his wife, Xinyu Fox. And, resurrect his loyal soldiers. While paying attention to the development of his own world, he enjoys life in the source. I won't say much about it. And Han Li and the others, who were far away in the immortal world, were tracking down the information of the reincarnation, and they had already obtained some clues. Not to mention, these reincarnators don't look at their strength. But in the cultivation world, when you meet a monk in the late UN infant period, you can also touch it. Moreover, there are treasures that hide themselves. Look for these people on these islands. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Han Li decided that it was better to wait for these people to automatically pop out when he went to find the 3 Immortal Palace. Anyway, a few of them are not in a hurry. Hongyu is not in 093 at this time, after all, he wants to gain fame. Moreover, there are so many good things in his own world, and he will be stronger when he cultivates. That is, you can have the opportunity to obtain fetish, and after trading, you can get points. Used to resurrect one's own mother. After all, his mother is a strong person who has cultivated ghosts and immortals, and the resurrection of points is not a cheap thing. Moreover, this world is not weak, interfering with the fate of time and space, although it is easy for the origin. But to make money, it is naturally difficult to say that you can earn more points. Yahei is fine, go back to his family to make up for his body with spiritual objects. Feng Baobao is not here. I went to the Pokemon world and the capital city area to train Pokemon. I hope he doesn't continue to strengthen Pokemon's skills, digging holes and burying people. When Arceus came to look for trouble, she was comfortable. Zhang Hulan, Yahei, the new trio, you should have the same parallel worldview. Zhang Hulan and Yahei nodded. The heroes of the three kingdoms are gathered, and in the Chinese worldview, there is a strong pen and ink. It's just a pity that in the end, the fruit was stolen by the conspiracy, bringing China into the darkest hour of hundreds of years. But now I hear they're going to have a meeting. That shouldn't happen again. Strategy for the All Heavens dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 228. Ha 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 ha. CAOAPU, I didn't expect it, the one who survived to the end was the winner. Liu Bei laughed a few times and said a little cheerfully. CAO also ignored Liu Bei's sarcasm, just shook his head. It's not helpful to say more. My fate has changed, but I don't need to think about what hasn't happened to us yet. Sun Quan said with a light smile. The forces of the parallel world to the Huaxia system also include the Demon Clan, the Ninja Alliance, and the Pirate New World. We've already said hello and had a meeting. After all, the three kingdoms are state-type forces. It is regarded as a whole by the source, not three forces. It can be said that it is both a glory and a loss. But now the pattern is different, and the mood and thoughts have changed greatly. The way the three of them look at the problem has also changed. So what should I do now? First, integrate the interior of our three countries, sweep away the central plains, and then clean up the periphery, and then... CAO paused for the last time, his eyes flickering. And then sweep the 8 desolations and Liohe, and dominate the whole world. Liu Bei and Sun Quan glanced at each other, and couldn't help but feel excited. Look at the holographic projection in front of you. This is a powerful satellite technology provided by Kyushu. Surveying the entire world in the Three Kingdoms world, you can accurately see every place at all times. These creations are only technological creations of the future. It's not some fairy means, but the wisdom of man. It's even more shocking than seeing the immortal means. I agree with men's words, first integrate us and the other three countries. Rely on the origin points, and the secret realm to test and strengthen our three kingdoms. Cooperate with the forces of various countries and develop vigorously. It will only take a few months at most, and we will definitely be able to sweep through the 8 desolations and Liohe. Sun Quan said lightly, he still meant to strengthen the entire three kingdoms first, and then slowly clear the world. CAO nodded. I'm waiting for the people of Huaxia to fight anymore. There are only so many tens of millions of people, there are too few people. Also, you can learn from Emperor Qin, where you need manpower, there are still many barbarians in other continents. CAO's words were plain, but they were full of blood. But Liu Bei and Sun Quan didn't care at all. As long as it's not my Huaxia people, it doesn't matter. The heads of the three kingdoms will unify their thinking, and then there will be no more obstacles. The integration of the world is just the beginning, and the follow-up is whether it is the stars and the sea, or the heavens and all the worlds. That's the real challenge. The three countries are in action, and their internal affairs will not be repeated. Anyway, I have experienced the development of so many kingdoms. The samples are all there. How to do it? Just copy the ready-made homework. It's simply not too easy. And when many fierce generals of the three kingdoms were puzzled by their own Lord Sao operation. After they enter the source, it is time to truly subvert their three views. The origin is also more lively. And while waiting for nearly half a month, in the immortal world, only Han Li and Ye were here. Zhang Hulan was summoned away by Feng Baobao. Hong Su is still studying, but he is studying in the source library. What was placed in his house was nothing more than a puppet. Finally there's movement. Han Li muttered softly, and Ye looked at the surveillance screen when he heard this. I saw that the picture was locked in an island, on a bustling market. These few days are the immortal ascension meetings of the three immortal palace, and they will recruit disciples in a small range of major markets. These people should just want to blend in with this. Ye said softly, if he wanted to find someone by himself, he wouldn't be able to find it. Han Li was able to quickly determine that there was something wrong with those 5 people. If you read a violent novel, go to Feel a Novel Network. Naturally, it is confident. After all, Special Mother, which immortal cultivator have you ever seen who would draw a magic array in his hand? At first glance, it was not an immortal path formation. Han Li's attainments on the formation path were not low. Otherwise, he would not have set up the formation many times to save himself from danger. And the familiar fluctuation of magical energy is simply a pearl in the night sky. Han Li could see through it at a glance. Han Li was majoring in his own immortal Dao, but he also wore many hats. For example, the wizarding profession in exile. A mage class in the Dark Realm. The male mage of the Arad warrior secret realm has even been upgraded to a profession and has become a dimensional walker. All he chose was to control all kinds of elemental magic. Naturally, it is to plan for the future. Lay a good foundation for the practice of the laws of the immortal Dao in the future. So, one of the 5 reincarnators may be majoring in magic. But its manipulation of magic and the elements is not as good as its own. Therefore, after revealing the magic fluctuations, they were instantly detected and locked by Han Li. Just in case, though. Wait, I'll call them all over so that nothing goes wrong. Ye looked at the cautious Han Li, and he didn't know how to complain. But Han Li had also talked a little bit about his experience in the past few days. Can practice with the qualification of waste wood, and I don't know how many times I have turned danger into a disaster. That's the essence of his deep discretion. Every time you encounter anything, you will slowly retreat to the end. But for a moment, Han Li called for help, and Feng Baobao, Zhang Hulan, and Hong Xian naturally rushed over immediately. When Zhang Hulan came over, he also brought a few meat buns. One person sent one. When Han Li and the others saw that there was something to eat, they didn't rush to make a move, and while arranging the formation, they ate meat sandwich buns. Just these few people. Zhang Hulan stared at those people and couldn't help grinning. These people have special hidden treasures, but under my eyes, there is nothing to hide. That fool, the magic fluctuations are so strong, good king, good, that he dares to show up at will. Fortunately, this is the nether realm. Even if you run to the upper spirit realm, I'm afraid that you will be seen through casually. Han Li was stunned for a moment, not because of Zhang Hulan's words. It's the white eyes. Looked at Zhang Hulan, whose eyes turned into white eyes. I was suddenly surprised. Can this thing still be used like this? Looking at Han Li's bewildered expression, Zhang Hulan shook his head and took off the white of his eyes. There are so many useful things in the Ninja Alliance, it's very good to hold it for self-defense. It's like these eyes, plug and play, you just need to consume energy and you can use it at will. But it requires a special energy source from the Ninja Alliance. I just happened to take over the promotion task of the Ninja Alliance now, and the white eyes are only 998, do you want to send a little? Damn. Han Li, Hong Huan, and Yehei looked at Zhang Hulan with disgust. You're here to do sales? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Strategy for the All Heavens Dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 229. Don't make a fuss, is the formation arranged? It's okay to bury it. Feng Baobao urged on the side. Han Li nodded, and didn't talk nonsense, he slapped his hand and took out a small flag. The small flag flickered in the air, and the mana surged, activating the formation that had just been arranged. The 5-person reincarnation is wandering the streets carelessly, like ordinary people. Suddenly, I felt that the building in front of me was tumbling and surging, like a mirror Rubik's Cube, and the whole space was changing. But in an instant, the people on the street had disappeared without a trace. However, these 5 people are all senior reincarnators. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come to this seemingly ordinary, but actually dangerous immortal world. Encountered this sudden incident, but did not panic at all. Instead, they all showed a look of fear, shouting, Senior, Senior, we're just here to participate in the 3 Immortals Palace's Immortal Ascension meeting. I don't know where I offended my seniors, please forgive me. By this time, he was still pretending. Naturally, they have faith and will not be seen as a horse. Moreover, to the strength of the reincarnation space. As long as you don't disclose the information yourself. Even if you draw your soul and refine your soul, you won't get any information about the reincarnation space from a few of your own people. It's a pity that they don't know that a mountain is higher than a mountain. On the strength of the mastermind behind the scenes, what reincarnation space? 390 is for the master who doesn't appear every day, and the raiders often can't see a trace, and he doesn't even deserve to lift his shoes. Seeing that no one answered, at the same time, the ground trembled. The huge crater suddenly appeared, and the 5 people fell directly into it. The huge forbidden power is about to seal them directly. But at this time, they knew that the formation set up might be specially for them. Nature is no longer hidden, and lives matter. I saw the woman with the magic array in her hand, and the magic circle in her hand lit up, and a circle of flame surrounded them in an instant. At the same time, a circle lit up under the ring of fire that surrounded them, creating buoyancy that sent them flying high and out of the pit. One of the men, with a wave of his hands, was a machine gun appeared. There is an aura on it, and I am afraid that the aura of the protective body of the UN infant stage can be directly shattered. But it's a pity that the people they encountered, whether in terms of strength or magic weapons, were much stronger than them. I saw a red light suddenly light up in mid-air. The 5 of them looked up at this strange situation. Not good, kaleidoscope writing will I. Pity. As soon as the words fell, the eyes of the 5 people instantly froze. The circle then dissipated and fell to the ground. Han Li stretched out his hand, and a thin transparent silk thread was thrown out of his palm. Mid-air transformed into 5 silk threads, pulling to the center of the reincarnation's eyebrows. Then he saw Han Li stretch out his hand and pull it. Crash. As if the transparent film was being pulled, the silk thread pulled out the 5 souls directly. It's a pity that even if the soul is pulled out, they still don't wake up. Because they were pulled into the illusion by the kaleidoscope containing the power of the moon reading. The soul is sunk in it, and it cannot be extricated. Mission accomplished. Reward issued. Reincarnation Secret Realm officially launched. Reincarnation Realm, this realm is triggered whenever a reincarnation enters a certain world. The quest for the reincarnation secret realm requires only one, killing all reincarnators. Is it that easy? Zhang Hulan pouted and said, looking at Han Li's familiar car. He ran to touch the corpse, and the corners of his mouth twitched. But this group of people is really bold. With their strength, how dare they break into another world at will? Yahei couldn't help but say, these people are really self-sufficient. Greed and fear drive them crazy. Under the oppression of the Lord of the Reincarnation space, they can only continue to invade the world and complete the task. In order to fight for yourself and the right to live. It's just a group of poor and crazy people. If you read a violent novel, you can go to Philo Novel Network. Hong 11's words revealed the meaning of the existence of these reincarnators. According to the Origin Boutique information, many cultivators have broken through to the level of Golden Immortal, Great Emperor, Human Immortal Shattered, or Ghost Immortal Yang God, Afeg. The accumulation of needs is too large, such as laws, origins, and so on. They themselves do not dare to enter and exit other worlds at will, even in dangerous chaos. So, by chance, I got a way to create a reincarnation space. In this way, the dead are pulled away, turned into members of the reincarnation, and go to other worlds to complete the task. In fact, it is to seize the origin of the world and strengthen itself. Zhang Hulan nodded at the light curtain and said the information he had just found. On the side, Yahei looked at the 5 sealed souls and said with emotion, they're too miserable. The world or something, even a stronger universe, an infinite multiverse space-time. In the source, it's like you don't want money, it pops up every day. We can also take risks at will and gain great power. I'm even afraid that if we die, there will be 6 reincarnations to life. Tisk. In this comparison, we are like a prince who has an incomparably powerful and rich country. You only need to study and cultivate well, and you can successfully ascend the throne and become the emperor who has everything. That's a fitting analogy. Feng Baobao patted Zhang Hulan's head with a small shovel. See, in other people's circumstances, just to survive, you have to practice. Look at you again, it's just a duh who can't be helped. SHH. Zhang Hulan sighed lightly and said embarrassedly. Don't mention a duh, Liu Bei is here at the source, let him hear it in the live broadcast room, how embarrassing it is. This. Outside the live broadcast room, Liu Bei was really watching the live broadcast and heard what Feng Baobao said. His face turned red, and he hurriedly got up and left the palace. After a while, the people in the city heard inexplicable screams. That's a miserable one. It's a pity that civil officials and military generals are silent. Zhujiang didn't know why, shaking the feather fan, feeling very pleased. Zhang Fei, who had just returned from a zombie secret realm, was covered with stumps and flesh and blood all over his armor. Second brother, what's wrong? Guan Yu just shook his head. Thou shalt not speak, thou shalt not say. Han Li and the others didn't know this. After all, the opening of the new mode secret realm was made by them. The attention of the natural live broadcast room is very high. And Han Li's 5-person group is here, after searching for the 5 reincarnators of soul refinement. A hint suddenly came from my ears. As a group that opens the reincarnation secret realm mode. Receiving welfare secret rewards. Reincarnation secret realm, Quest Asian world. Message, new human, immortal, subhuman, reincarnation. Mission, kill all reincarnators. Strategy for the All Heavens dungeon, starting from the Biohive. Author, I'm chasing water in the sky. Chapter 230. Immortal subhumans. Black Ghost. This thing is so weak, how does it compete with modern firepower? Leng Feng shook his head, while looking at the live broadcast room. Han Li and the others were leisurely looking for the reincarnation. While looking at those so-called undead sub-people dash. Don't talk about that, what's going on with Sakurajima? Liang Rong will finish reading some of the reports and ask. Lang Feng smiled. Half dead, who told him to hold on to death at that time? He didn't open his mouth, he just had to wait for Eagle Sauce to save him. Looking at the gloating Lang Feng, Liang Rong didn't say much. However, Eagle Sauce, I'm afraid it's going to be very troublesome now. Liang Rong knew what Lang Feng meant. The world has just been invaded by aliens, and the losses are not small, even heavy. Today's sudden chaotic entry into the secret realm is actually a virus. If this thing is not careful, it will be a crisis for the whole people's livelihood, and it is possible. Moreover, this time the virus is not weak. It's much more dangerous than the last crazy virus. This time, the virus that appeared in the secret realm is called the Black Light virus. Once infected with this virus, the immune system collapses, causing the body's tissues to mutate. But it just so happens that the Black Light virus can repair body tissues. And when it comes to repairing body tissues, energy needs to be consumed. As a result, the infected person will develop a strong desire to starve. Transform into a demon that devours everything. And, in addition to the desire to devour, the Black Light virus also has a strong evolutionary ability. Devouring living things, allowing the organisms to combine with their own gene cells, removing their dross and leaving the essence, can cause the infected to evolve into powerful monsters. So, this virus is very dangerous. However, the ability of Black Light virus to spread and infect is not very strong. At the very least, if it leaks, it will infect a city at most. Unless it is an infected person who carries the virus and spreads it around, the infection can be expanded. Speaking of which, take the urine sex of the Eagle Sauce. I'm afraid that they may suffer another disaster. According to the Intelligence Department's analysis, Eagle Sauce may use a Black Light virus. Experiment with the monsters who entered the secret realm for the first time and landed on Sakurajima. If there is an infected person who devours the genes of powerful monsters, I am afraid that it will bring a lot of trouble to Eagle Sauce. Liang Rongjens said, her eyes flashing inexplicably. Lang Feng pouted, that's none of our business, just let him play by himself. Anyway, it is monitored in real time, and there are people who are out of the body and possess the research institute. The initiative has always been in the hands of Kyushu. Not at all. Also, Han Li and the others came up with the reincarnation secret realm mode. Tell your extraordinary squad to be a little more mindful. The reincarnators of the reincarnation space are exposed to our origin. But we weren't exposed. So, in the headlines just now, we made a joint statement. If we enter the secret realm of reincarnation and encounter a reincarnation, after exposing the non-aborigines of the current world, we will also call ourselves reincarnators to confuse the public. Lang Feng nodded, and by the way, released the joint information to the Transcendent team. At the same time, he clicked on the light curtain and looked at the information of the reincarnation secret realm. Reincarnation secret realm, Dracula's first year world. Reincarnation secret realm, Van Helsing secret world. Reincarnation secret realm, Blade Warrior secret world. I'll go. Look at it. Lang Feng suddenly burst into a foul mouth. What's wrong? Lang Feng came back to his senses and pushed a piece of reincarnation secret realm information to Liang Rong. Reincarnation secret realm, kingdom without stories. Warning, the secret realm of the super dangerous universe, anything incredible can happen here. Read violent novels, go to Fila Novel Network. Admission restriction, up to 5 people at least. Sendo True Immortal, Sendai Saint, Junior Human Immortal, 4 Tribulation Ghost Immortal, Quasi Heavenly Father. No wonder Lang Feng was surprised. This kind of level limit, in the entire origin, not many people can reach it. It's a bit tricky. Moreover, it is also specially marked as a super dangerous secret realm. The appearance of this secret realm didn't just make Lang Feng notice. In the origin, many raiders have seen it. However, the entry restriction directly brushed off the vast majority of raiders. Even in the secret realm, Feng Bao and others who were preparing to bury the black ghost, this novelty. I was also surprised to look at the secret realm information of this dungeon. U is dangerous, and the natural dungeon reward must be extraordinary. Of course, there are many people who are attracted by this. Such a powerful secret world. Dong Huang Tai was in the starry sky and a cloud of dust, and a cry shook the starry sky. At the same time, a huge kunpeng, which seemed to cover the sky and the sun, loomed in the colorful dust clouds. Zhang Zhenren, are you interested? The other side of the light curtain. A chubby little old man is driving a starry sky. Soaring in the orbit of a big star, sometimes accelerating, sometimes flicking and drifting, so not chic. Heard Dong Huang Tai ask. With 1 foot of the brake, the vehicle threw itself 360 degrees, drifted into the warehouse, and held steadily. Group Me 1. Before Zhang Zhenren could speak, a light curtain lit up and he spoke first. It is the great sage of the demon clan, Sun Wukong. The great sage is also here, and the old Tao will naturally not miss it. Lao Gu, Lao Zhu, you two can't come. As Zhang Sanfan spoke, the light curtain flickered, and a big star exploded, setting off a storm and fireworks in the starry sky. 2 majestic figures were revealed. It was Gu Santung and Zhu who ignored it, but at the moment, they looked a little embarrassed. We won't go, it just so happens that the martial arts are a little advanced, and we need to retreat for a while. After adjusting his breathing, Gu Santung said slowly. I want to go, but unfortunately the strength is not up to standard. The light curtain flickered, and Whitebeard said with some regret. Then who else is free? What about Gai Nai and concubine Yan? Sword Saint, nameless, heroic. Zhang Sanfan muttered that these strong people seem to rarely see people these days. It's all in retreat and breakthrough. Come to think of it, it won't be long. The masters in the origin will have to increase a lot. However, I can't go there for a while, studying planetary transformation and interstellar immigration. It's been a long time since I've been delayed, and my strength hasn't improved much, I'm really ashamed. The moon worship sect master also spoke. Then the 3 of you. Wouldn't it be too dangerous? The monkey took a bite of the spirit peach and said. As he spoke, the light curtain in front of him continued to flash, and the figure of the supreme mage appeared. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also interested in this, let's go together. Spoon.